The lady that I got it from was a relation of my husband's.
Right.
And when she moved to Canada later on, she gave the pot to me.
The pot is a hu, a ceremonial wine vessel form revived in the 18th century from earlier Chinese bronze prototypes. The Qianlong Emperor, who ruled from 1735 to 1796, was a serious antiquarian. His court commissioned porcelain that deliberately copied the shapes and palette of pieces 5 centuries older. Underglazed cobalt, pigment painted directly on the bisque before firing, was the signature decoration of refined imperial wares coming out of the Jingdezhen kilns during this reign.
I suppose designs which are really quite traditional. The lotus on the neck up here, and then these motifs down all the way around the belly of the pot. I don't know if you know what they are.
Well, I recognise that these are carp.
Oh yes, right,
and
right,
chrysanthemum.
But these are all Buddhist motifs, and these are called the 8 Buddhist emblems. In fact, this one round here, this curious one round here, is called the Endless Knot, which in fact really is an indication, it actually is an icon for the entrails, believe it or not, of Buddha. And it's a motif that's almost Byzantine. And the next one is the twin fish, which in fact ultimately means, I suppose, a symbol of marital harmony. So all these things say something about connected with religion, if you like, in the Far East. But it's what is special about this is that it has the rain mark and the seal mark of the emperor, and there it is there. There we have this.
The motifs running around the belly belong to a fixed Buddhist iconographic set codified in Tibetan and Chinese practice by the 14th century: wheel, conch, parasol, victory banner, lotus, vase, fish pair, and endless knot. Their presence together as a complete cycle on imperial wares is a marker of court production rather than commercial export, and helps fix the piece firmly inside the Qianlong Palace workshops at Jingdezhen.
Do have lids.
I was wondering if it
would have, some do,
doesn't
some
look
do
as if it ever had a lid, and yet
it could do. And in perfect state, this is worth many tens of thousands of pounds. This piece here is broken. I'm not saying you've broken it, but it's broken. It's an old break. You're dealing with a market which is concerned with perfection, and in terms of material, the Chinese market, the people who buy this will want things in mint state, so they won't pay tens and tens of thousands of pounds. They will probably pay maybe £5,000 or £10,000 for a repaired piece. That's what this is worth, somewhere between £5,000 and £10,000.
War. My father-in-law, he was helping these Jewish people that were trying to get out of Italy when Hitler moved into Italy, and therefore I think that is the Jewish people that came to my father-in-law and told him, you can have these figures here, give us some gold or money so we leave from Italy tonight.
Yes, so they would take...
The figures sit at the intersection of 2 near-impossible trades, the Jesuit mission to the Qing court, and the small Chinese export market for Christian devotional objects. The Italian Jesuit Matteo Ripa worked at the Imperial Palace in Beijing from 1711 to 1723. Later, Giuseppe Castiglione spent 50 years there as both court painter and intermediary. Pieces of this size, in cloisonné, made specifically for the Christian market, surviving anywhere in the West, are exceptionally rare.
And this is why these are all biblical texts, and as is to be expected, Moses is holding the 10 Commandments. The material is called cloisonné, which is basically glass fused onto a copper or bronze alloy base. And they are tremendously exciting because the Chinese themselves very, very rarely produced figures, let alone European figures. And I have to say that I have never seen anything like these before. The interesting thing, in fact, is that there is a mixture. On the back of the Moses figure, we see European stars, which, in fact, you wouldn't get on a piece of Chinese cloisonné. We see on the back of his coat, there is a very, very elaborate pattern of very finely wired tulips. Again, this is a European motif. It is not a Chinese motif. That notwithstanding, the text is in Chinese, and the puzzle is, were these made for Christians or Christians in China or for Christians in Europe? Another exciting thing is that the Italians, in the form of the Jesuits, had a mission out in Peking to try to make the Chinese emperor a Christian. And they try to do this by all sorts of ways, by showing them the superiority of European technology. And one figure in particular was famous for this, a man called Giuseppe Castiglione. He was himself a Jesuit, very close to the emperors, and it is conceivable, this is pure hypothesis, it is conceivable that he may have had a hand in it. The question is now what date they are, and I think that there are going to be varied opinions. But nevertheless, irrespective of their age, these are the most wonderful things I've certainly seen on the programme. And I think we could certainly say that they are worth between 10 and 20,000 pounds.
Surviving Sino-European Christian objects from this period are very thinly represented in any public collection. The Musée Guimet in Paris and the Victoria and Albert Museum in London hold the largest documented European holdings of Chinese Christian export work, and material of this scale and condition appears only intermittently at the major Asian art sales in London, Paris and Hong Kong. This video is brought to you by Velco, the Antique Identifier app. Snap a photo of any item and Velco gives you an instant identification and a value estimate from its database of millions of antiques and collectibles. Available free on the App Store and Google Play. Now back to the appraisals.
I know very little about them. They were left to me by my late brother, and all I do know is that he thought they were from the Dutch East India Company. And we come from South Africa, and my brother lived.
I think you know that they're Chinese, do you?
I have no idea where they come from. Nothing at all.
Right. They are Chinese.
Okay.
They're Chinese. And they are based on English silver originals of about 1720, right? But actually these date from about 1760. So they were copying something which was out of date by 30, 40, 50 years even maybe. But they are 1760. They're quite rare survivals.
Really?
Another interesting point about this, when the Chinese model this or cast it or mould it, they fire it in the kiln, take it out, glaze it, and fire it at full temperature. The first firing is just to harden it off. And normally nothing happens at that first hardening up off stage, but this one has split. Now normally you chuck it away, but this cost in Chinese terms quite a lot of money to make. It's a complicated object. So rather than dump it, they filled it with glaze and fired it, right? So it then comes down, it's taken from Qingdezhen, where it's made and glazed, all the way down to Canton, where the decoration is put on.
Okay.
And this would have been done specially to European taste, and I think French taste. I think this is Compagnie des Indes, made for the French market.
Okay.
Beautifully decorated, hand-painted in famille rose enamels. Unusual with this iron red band of stiff leaves around here, not common at all.
They've got sentimental value, so they are very special.
Well, the thing about sentimental value is that you offer enough that it will overcome it.
Possibly.
£2,000?
No.
3,000?
No.
Okay, that's as far as I can get.
Yeah.
Well, maybe 3.5.
No, I think I would rather, because of the memory of my brother, yes.
Well, that's a nice thing to remember him by. I think they're utterly, utterly charming.
Famille rose wares built on European silver shapes, what the trade now calls Sino-European hybrid ceramics, have become a steady category at the Hong Kong and Paris auctions. The Compagnie des Indes formally ceased trading in 1769. For years before the Boston Tea Party, the small surviving body of French market shapes from the company's last decades is now mostly in private collections rather than museums.
For my grandmother over the years. And I think he must have bought them in London.
Jade carving in China experienced a documented Edwardian-era export boom between 1900 and 1925, the years from which this entire collection dates. The fall of the Qing dynasty in 1912 released enormous quantities of palace stock raw nephrite onto the open market. What reached London jewellers between then and the First World War is the most sought-after slice of the modern collector's field.
Yeah. Now, that's the period for the ring itself. I ought to add one little caveat, which is these days jade is improved. They impregnate, they do all sorts of things to make them look slightly better than they are. The good news is, though, it's unlikely with a stone of that date. This one here, have you noticed it's got a slightly wedge
yes.
shape? It's
Yeah.
almost as if it's
Not
been
quite
polished
perfect.
slightly off, and that does affect the interest a little.
Yeah.
Then you've got this splendid deco jade brooch, where I think they must have taken a couple of pieces of Chinese jade that have been carved, set them in little settings of diamonds, this flash, it's almost like a geometric bow, and then you've got these calibre black little hard stones in between, and this colour combination, the black, the white, the
Very
green,
fashionable,
was
wasn't it?
very deco.
Yeah.
Now, let me just have a look at these jade pieces, because these are a fantastic colour, aren't they? These are wonderful. Now one small anxiety I've got, and I'm sure you have noticed that, it's got a crack running all the way through it.
In fact, the mount's been made to hold it because it's got more claws on that side.
And they're very thin slices, aren't they?
Yeah.
These are the sort of
Terribly thin.
things that would have been done in China, and you could wear them as clips for the ears or something, but these have been made into a brooch. And then finally, you've got this terrific Chinese jade carving, which by its quality, I mean, look at the detail here,
I
the
love
little
the
birds,
bird.
the piercing.
And what sort of a flower is that?
Well, they're
I mean, it's
usually
obviously a
things like
stylised
lotus flowers.
Lotus.
They're usually lotus flowers, and you'd have all sorts of symbols.
And is this a pea, a pod?
The pea pod is there. But what a fantastic thick slab of imperial jade. Well, that really is a staggering collection that you brought in. Moving on to the question.
The color evaluation grid the appraiser uses runs back to a 1,000-year-old Chinese system. The most prized hue, known as Imperial or Kingfisher green, translates literally as fei cui in Mandarin. The stone of that saturation comes almost exclusively from a small region of northern Myanmar, and the single most valuable carving in this collection, with its translucent saturation, sits at the top of that scale.
It would be enormously commercial, but the damage does affect the price.
Yes, obviously.
I think that in that condition, with the crack across it, my instinct is that this is probably worth something around £4,000.
Yes.
This one here, with the wedge, I love the polish. It's on a 1925 bar with the diamonds on the shoulders. That one there, I think it has to be worth the same sort of money. This one here, I think, is the most beautiful carving, and it reminds me of one that I saw some years ago that was very similar, that I know in auction fetched something like £6,000 to £8,000.
Really? Gosh.
Then we move on to this one. And this one, I would want to do a little bit of work on it, just to be absolutely sure on this one. But I think this is probably £8,000 or £10,000.
I wear it quite a lot.
Well, I just think it's got so much going for it. The size, the
marvellous,
shape,
isn't it?
What a fantastic group of things. Fantastic.
Well, I
Thank
wish
you
my
very much.
grandfather could hear you say that, because he obviously adored
Well,
it.
I'm absolutely.
5-piece period collections assembled by a single buyer across the 1900 to 1925 window are unusual at auction. Most jade jewellery enters the market one piece at a time, which is what makes a documented family group of this scale noteworthy. Imperial-grade jade prices fell sharply through the 1990s before recovering strongly across the past 2 decades, driven principally by mainland Chinese collectors returning to the market.
So this print is by an artist called Utagawa Kuniyoshi, who is also from the 19th century, and this print dates from about 1850.
Utagawa Kuniyoshi worked in Edo, modern Tokyo, between 1828 and 1861, and is regarded as one of the 3 masters of the ukiyo-e woodblock tradition alongside hokusai and hiroshige. His specialist subject was the supernatural, vengeful ghosts, sea monsters, and the cast of Japanese legend. Prints from this exact body of work hang in the permanent collections of the British Museum, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and the Boston Museum of Fine Arts.
It's stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, it's stunning. I think that's the only reason.
Let me see. What do you think?
I'm actually going to go for the middle one as the most valuable because it's so unusual.
So we've got 3 different options for the best one here. I mean, this is not, we don't get a lot of this on the roadshow, so you will flummox me. I'm just going to say the one in the middle is basic. It is the most modern. I'm going to go for that. Then, and this one, just because I like it the best, is the real humdinger worth 20 to 30,000. I mean, the colours are just gorgeous, aren't they?
Right, well, you've got one right. The basic one is this one.
Is it?
Because when it was first published, people didn't really like it. So although it's by Hiroshige, it's only worth 200 to 300 pounds.
Right.
Now, so the better is this one. As I said, there are many collections, many museums around the world who are starting to collect her works. She was really a trailblazer for Japanese women artists in the 20th century. So yes, she would be 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. Her paintings can sell 30,000, 40,000. Now, you were right. Your favorite one is the most expensive one. This one would be worth probably between 20,000 to 30,000. The condition is really fantastic. The colors are so bright.
They are.
Also, the artist, he's well known for his ghosts, his monsters. So yes, Utagawa Kuniyoshi, the master of ghosts, it's probably worth 20,000 to 30,000.
Right. You see, I thought it was basic, better, best, but then I thought, oh, you'd never make it that straightforward. Oh, I should have gone with that. And I should be testing you all on how to pronounce those names after we fit.
Kuniyoshi's ghost series sits at the top of the late Edo woodblock market. Condition like the one shown here, full register, unfaded reds, no foxing, places this firmly at the high end of the appraiser's range. His market has climbed strongly over the past 2 decades as Western museums have staged major retrospectives of his supernatural work, and complete impressions in this condition appear only every few years at the principal Asian art sales. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next. And there are plenty more incredible appraisals waiting for you on the channel. Go check them out.